So this is my suburban habitat, my suburbitat, and I'm going to survive here. Nice Tennessee humid heat. Alright, so these are the first three different types of compost that I got to put in my quote metals mix. Not so sure how different they were, because he says to put at least 3 to 5 different types of compost in your mix. And so I went with 3. It was kind of hard to find stuff really at first. When you're first starting out and trying to do stuff, it's kind of hard to find where all the good compost is at. And so I finally came up with these 3, and I'll show them to you. But I don't know that they were all that much different. I think they were all pretty heavy with cow manure in them. But we'll take a look here anyways. We've got the manure. It says organic compost with cow manure. And what's really interesting is, I don't know if it's that interesting, but let's see where it says it here. Well, this one doesn't even say what it was made out of, other than organic compost with cow manure. We are number 1 in the number 2 business. The guaranteed analysis is total nitrogen 0.2%, 0.12% water insoluble nitrogen, and 0.08 water soluble organic nitrogen. The available phosphate was 0.2. The soluble phosphate was 0.2, and the chlorine maximum was 0.5. And here's what I was looking for: derived from natural forest products, green waste, and composted cow manure. So that would make you think, well, there's at least 3 sources there within that bag. So that's kind of why I went with it. Then we have the evergreen mix, organic humus. And this one says this product is derived from one or more of the following compost, forest products, and or other organic materials. So there you're thinking maybe a few more different sources. And then this one is supposed to be like some of the best stuff there is, the mushroom compost. At least that's what I was first learning. And all that one says is derived from mushroom compost. Total nitrogen. Total nitrogen is 0.5%. There's water soluble, that's 0.1%. Water insoluble is 0.4%. The available phosphate is 0.5%. Soluble potash is 0.2%. And then chlorine not more than 1%. The chlorine bothers me. But this is the black velvet mushroom compost. So those were the three composts that I did in my first mix, first batch, that went in the first two 4x4 boxes out there. And actually the same stuff went in the 4x8 that's up next to the house. Now, I think what was going on out there was with all the heavy rain and stuff, was just washing a lot of the organic materials away and really leaving my plants with no food or nutrients. So my first thought was, well, maybe this mix was too high in nitrogen or not high enough of something, and so I started looking for something else, and what I found was what's called Happy Frog. I'll show that to you. So here's the Happy Frog. Call it soil conditioner. You see the bag, kind of a cool graphic there. It says it contains mycorrhiza and humic acid, soil microbes, bat guano, and earthworm castings. And the ingredients, it says composted forest humus, earthworm castings, bat guano, oyster shell, and dolomite lime for pH adjustment, humic acid derived from leonardite, and granite dust. So the Happy Frog contains much better compost and elements in it. The bat guano, earthworm castings, let's see what else was it. Yeah, the dolomite lime, and the granite dust. Now, I've heard a lot of good stuff about rock dust, and I also put the azomite rock dust in my soil, and we can thank John Kohler of growinggreens.com for that, so we'll give a little shout out to his channel. And so now I'm mixing the Happy Frog, and then what I also do is I go down to a little, I found a nursery down the road here from me, and they have what he calls mushroom compost. He has it in big piles. He says it's mostly from chicken manure. And I put that stuff in the, I ground that up when I rototilled for the corn rows and the onions and the beans and stuff like that. I put it in and rototilled it into the rows, and that stuff seemed to grow pretty good. Now we just had the high winds knock that stuff over, so I don't know if it's going to last or not, but we'll see. But anyway, so what I started doing was mixing Happy Frog with the chicken manure mushroom compost from the nursery down the road, and that is what is in my 4x8 box down closer to the spring, and that stuff seems to be working a lot better than the other stuff. Now, like I say, the other stuff was probably a lot of troubles I'm having from that was from our last heavy winds, and I didn't realize that, or heavy rains, and I didn't realize that all that rain can wash away a lot of the organic activity and microbes and stuff like that that the soil needs. And since I've been replanting some stuff in there, I've been mixing the newer soil in with it, and it seems to be working a lot better. And I also started a better regime of compost tea and some blood meal, bone meal, stuff like that. Seems to be doing better that way. I'm also paying attention to the no-till method, which is you set up your soil, get it all nice and tilled up and friable, and get your compost and organic materials into it, and then from there you leave it alone, other than putting more compost on it. Now you'll mulch it like through the winter. When it's time to plant, you separate your mulch, get your seeds started, or get your plants in, and when the seeds are finally up and going, you can push that mulch back to it. But other than that, you don't want to rototill it anymore. You just want to keep putting more compost and more materials on it to keep it alive and keep it healthy. And so it's kind of what I'm doing with these boxes now that I've got a better understanding of what's going on. At this point, I'm adding to it now. The older stuff I will kind of dig it up and mix it back in with the newer stuff and put it back, but that's pretty much the process that I'm going with now. So fun working with compost, and I'm also working on making my own compost piles out there, mostly grass clippings, kitchen stuff, and I go down and I buy the worm castings right now, but I am working on setting up my own worm bins and stuff. So the whole process, the whole system is coming into place, but until then, I got to go out and buy the stuff that I need. All right, let's talk a little bit about how I would actually mix the soil. I would use a third and a third and a third, which means a third peat moss, and I would go get these 3 cubic feet bags of the organic Majestic Earth peat moss. Let's see what that stuff looks like or not. You got to actually chunk it up, get something and break it up when you use it, because it's really compacted when you buy it. And then I would also do a third vermiculite, and you want to get the so let me see where it says it, coarse vermiculite. Let's see what it looks like now. Let's see. Let's get a bag of it here. You can see that. So what I would do is take one of these 5-gallon buckets, and at first I did a tarp. What I would do is I'd fill a 5-gallon bucket with the vermiculite, pour it on a tarp, and fill the 5-gallon bucket with the peat moss, pour it on a tarp. And then I'd take those 3 different composts, and I'd put a third of the 5-gallon bucket for each one, and then I'd pour that on top of the tarp. And then I'd just pick that tarp, the ends up, and just roll it around until it got mixed. And then I'd scoop it up and put it in here. And this is what I got. This is actually really nice stuff, smells nice, works nice. However, oh, and also, when you're looking to make things useful out of stuff you already got, there's a sweet tea jug. You just cut the end of it off, makes a nice scoop. Works pretty good. Now I did get tired of rolling that stuff around on the tarp, so I discovered I could just dump those 5-gallon buckets in that wheelbarrow and just use the shovel, and you were able to contain it better. It's just like stirring a big pot of stew. And it was easier on your back, you have to bend over so much. And so that's how I mixed it.